In this video I'll show you what to check whether you just bought the bike or it's time for a proper service. We tear it down, grease a lot, change bearings, fix the fork legs, lights and much more. This bike runs perfectly, but inside parts are already wearing out. People just continue riding and suddenly the bike feels old and tired. Not by one broken thing, but by many poorly maintained things. Just like this Yamaha. This Enduro I bought a few months ago. You might have seen that I'm gonna race the world's biggest Enduro race after the summer. This bike has about 200 hours now, so it's time to take things apart and make sure everything is in good shape, ready to ride, ready to train through the winter. I do all this without fancy tools and you can too. All you need is 2 hands and a bit of time. The tips in this video can come in handy with all bikes, not just Enduro and motocross, because all bikes are built quite the same. What we're gonna focus on is all moving parts, which include front wheel bearing, back wheel bearing, front suspension, steering bearing, rear shock, swing arm, linkage, chain, also the brake caliper, front and back. And at the end of the video we're also gonna get out and test ride it. I both hope and it feels like I don't have to do anything with the engine right now. The piston was changed at about 160 hours and it just sounds good in the engine, so I'm gonna leave that for now. Maybe we can do a winter preparation. I don't know. As usual, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, we're gonna get started. When I did this, I was honestly too stressed to stand in front of the camera and also talk. I just wanted to get the bike done and get out and ride. I ordered a couple of packages from 24MX for the bike, just some parts that I knew needed my attention right away. Nothing crazy, just some maintenance part to keep the bike solid, reliable. And also some, how do we call it, good to have things in the garage. Now I have a question. Is it someone out there that knows how long a linkage bearing lasts? Because I never experienced outworn linkage bearings. What I do have experience, like every time I have bought a dirt bike, is that I buy a dirt bike and then I have to replace this. Because people use pressure washer down here and they don't grease the linkage up. This is a really important part of your motorcycle, not just on dirt bikes, but on any motorcycles. Because if the linkage doesn't work as it's supposed to, then the rear suspension is lying to you. I'm gonna use this Maxima waterproof grease. Because this bearings isn't like high-speed bearings, it's just as long as it keeps the water out. I have mostly used this marine grease for boat propellers and stuff before, and it also worked perfect. And of course we take away this swell and grease it up once we're here. This isn't just a bling blue one, it's Zeta adjustable. So you can see here on the arrows that you can change the height of the bike if you're a shorter rider. These bearings isn't in perfect shape, but still they're gonna last many hours, especially now after we lube it up. They are still tight and nice. Now look at this. Imagine now that your bearing need to be greased up, but you're still driving around when you look like this. You should be ashamed. I don't think I have to explain why I heat and cool this down, but I can do it anyway. The material expands once you heat it up and the bearings shrink in the freezer when you put it there. Then it's much easier to tap them in once you sheet it a bit with the dimension and temperatures. Since this grease is water resistant, it also works like sealing, preventing water from enter the needle bearings. So I would say you can't overlube them. Just put in as much grease as you can to help the sealings seal the water out. And yes, ideal, you should press the bearings in. I don't have any press tools for this, so I beat them in. But I see it as a wake-up call for the bearing. They are gonna be hammered in the future, so it's just getting used to it. And again, fill it up with grease. Here we can see how happy we made the linkage. Really nice. I'm not gonna do a service on my rear shock right now, maybe later in the spring or something, or before the race. But since no one seems to have taken care of this bike, we're gonna lube it up as well. The swing arm bushings wasn't either in perfect shape, but after we lube it up it's gonna last for many more hours. There's no panic to change them. These screws just look depressed, so we put them in some rust solvent and a little quick clean on the rear shock. This top bushing for the rear shock isn't even a bushing, it is some weird ball-eyed looking thing. And also this part isn't exposed for water or anything as a linkage. So once this is full of grease, it's gonna last for many hours. I had some corrosion here on the wheel axle, but this is also galvanized, so you don't want to sand it down like hard. Just do a quick little touch-up. And with some more grease on it, of course. I know the music of my choice is quite strange, but you have to listen to the whole video with the build-up at the end to get this Scandinavian Nordic feeling. If you didn't know, this adjustable wrench is a Swedish invention. As I said, prepare it for what's coming. Again, just put a lot of grease there to keep the water out. And here you can see, don't use pressure washer here when you wash your bike. I don't know, use a pencil or a brush or something. Do not use high pressure water in this area. Here the pin that the brake pad slides on was a bit rusty, so I just cleaned it up a bit and then put a thin layer of grease on it. It is a bit different when you're gonna use it on the winter like me, because then you have to grease stuffs up, otherwise it corrodes really fast. I don't know for how long these screws will stay shiny, but they look better than before and I put some grease on them when I was done. I honestly never use a torque wrench for this stuff, but now since you're watching, why don't show you the proper way? First I thought the front rotor was bent, then I saw that the rotor isn't just spinning freely in the caliper, but it's a quick fix. Maybe you saw I bought new brake pads in unboxing. I'm not gonna install them right now because these brake pads have many hours left on them. Maybe I install them before the D-Day, the big race. I put Vaseline on all the rubber things and I put a thin layer of grease on the sliding pin. I don't know, 10 minutes, then it worked like it should. You see the front wheel bearing is wrecked, so I installed new ones. Also this, put it in the fridge and they almost just fall down until they seated. Also here, those looks just depressing. I use the Notoil oil and filter clean, so I just put them in the washing machine and they're done. And then the rear light wasn't working. The previous owner said that there was some wire that was off. So I had to see where I should connect it and then install it in a way that prevents it from happening again. Make sure that no water enters and that it is protected from all the flying sharp stones here by the back wheel. Here I use this hose for air pressure, 6mm air pressure hose, with some heat shrink and then also a last layer of electrical tape. Here I used a little bit of silicone just to seal it up a bit. Fantastic. And here one screw has fallen out, so I need to put a new one in. I don't know why I put the registration plate on, maybe so I know where I have it. And a quick little touch up on the fender lip. The back fender isn't even straight, so yeah. I honestly can't understand how you can be driving around with a clutch cable touching your fender every time you steer. But the previous owner seems to have a clutch cable touching fetish. The chain isn't in perfect condition, but it's also not very bad. So I'm gonna use this during the winter. I don't want to buy new chain and sprockets and use them during the winter because of all corrosion and stuff. So I'm gonna install it maybe before the race, the Gotland Grand National. After some ultrasonic wash and some lubrication, it looks quick and no links are jammed. Also the chain isn't stretched, so there is no panic to change it. And as always, there is some sweat and a lot of bad words, sweardoms, that comes out when you're changing tires. I don't even have a real compressor, so I'm using this 12-volt car compressor with a motorcycle battery. These tires was mounted with this mousse bib things, and I'm gonna go with hoses on this winter ride. Maybe I buy new mousse when I'm about to race to avoid flat tires. This is the Razorback stud tires from 24MX. I've used it now for a couple of hours and it works really nice actually. I haven't lost one single stud and yeah, they just work good, especially for the price since they were €90 each. This is actually my first time dealing with this dual chamber front suspension, but I just changed the fork oil in the outer, not in the inner chamber. So this stone chip I got, and just after 1 hour of riding the fork seal start leaking, so I have to take care of it. I can't just mount a new fork seal and continue riding with this one, because it will slice up my fork seal directly. Here I use the Loctite Power Epoxy. Just make sure that it is heat resistant and oil resistant. And then leave it, let it harden for at least 12 hours. Not perfect, but still much better. I know it looks horrible, but this isn't rust, it's copper paste. And you shouldn't use copper paste for bearings applications, because copper paste contains metal particles. And of course you don't want metal particles rolling around in your bearing. Also, to mix copper, aluminium with maybe some water that escape through in the future is just a good recipe on corrosion. You shouldn't mix those materials. I found some plastic piece which fits on my fork leg if I cut it open to smack the ceilings down. I'm not gonna go really deep in how to serve your suspension. First is a bit bike specific depending on which type of suspension you have. Also, I'm not really good at suspension. I know how to change the oil, fork seals and stuff, but I don't know how to space it out and all this. It's a science. Or to be honest, I'm not an expert at anything I'm doing in this video. Also, I don't go really deep into anything. It's just, I like to be in the garage fixing with things and I want to share with you what I have done. But if you search for exactly how to change the wheel bearing or how to serve your suspension, there is already a lot of good videos out there which you can check out. Guess what? The Yamaha 200 hours service is done. First, really quick, we need to fill in the wall. Everyone that subscribed to this channel is a part of our Viking crew. First we start with the Honda, then it was Adventure, and now it's Enduro, and blah blah blah, and everything at the same time. We was at 615, now we're 850. So I'm gonna fill it in supersonic speed. It's actually kind of crazy, but we're almost pushing 1000. Let's make it happen. 850, okay. So we're at 850. If you don't want to be a part of the channel, still like the video, or leave a comment. You shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that. I prefer you to interact with me than views, to be honest. Anyway, enough talk, let's continue. I had to change the linkage, the swing arm away. I changed the wheel bearing in the front, one fork seal. I changed the oil in the suspension. I took the back suspension off, lubed everything up, the back wheel, the bearings. Now I'm gonna change the oil and filter tomorrow at my friend's house, because we are going out on our first winter ride. So the first training is coming up. I can show you just for satisfaction. The front tire with the studs, like big, chunky, nasty with the studs, and the backlight is working and it's sturdy. And here we can see everything is full of this Maxima waterproof grease. It's nice to see for the satisfaction. Same here with the front axle. It looks just new served. And I fixed the damaged fork leg. So it's not perfect, but it's way better than having sharp edges of the steel right here. I like polish up some screws, put some grease on it so it maybe stays better polish. It was all rusty before. And this is with new bearings. The back wheel was quite good, so I kept them. I just lubed them up. I also put this on so I can lift the bike when I'm stuck. I think it's good to have in the forest, in the Enduro forest. Same in the back. So now it's ready for some forest fun. So it just feels a lot better than before. Before it was like old bike feeling. Now it's much better. I just put the clear glass in and a helmet lamp. This is for my bicycle. So it's not like the best, but it's better than nothing. I'm gonna skip forward to tomorrow evening when we are out driving. Our first training for the Gotland Grand National. Vamos! Now the bike has a great feeling and everything works as it should. If you want to see how I transport my bike, or if you want to see me driving around in Europe, press here.